Okay, good morning. This is the video, first of what will be 4 videos related to this document. I'm going to go over the question and answer part, and then in this video, and I'll take you through the whole document. But then I'll record 3 separate videos for each of the close reading documents at the end, and I'll explain those when we get to them. So. This video pretty much, or this document pretty much has to do with what happened in the Middle East or Southwest Asia after the fall of the Ottoman Empire, which if you already did the Ataturk thing, you know how that came about, and what happened in this part of the world, and really set up what goes on in that part of the world now to a good extent in the time after World War I. So the first part is just kind of introductory. You see a map of the Middle East in 1789 and then 1914, and obviously over here I just want you to kind of, I'm mostly, what do you see in the map, what do you think, the wonder stuff I'm not that worried about, and then based on stuff you've learned about China and India and any place else, what explains the difference between the 2 maps? And if you look, you've got the Ottoman Empire in blue over here and blue over here. Why did it shrink so much is really what I want you to tell me on that one. So the next section again gets into a little bit more with some maps, gives you a little description of the Middle East. This is the area we usually refer to as the Middle East. Modern days, historians are trying to get away from that term and call it, because it's very ethnocentric, and call it what it really is Southwest Asia and North Africa. It's Southwest Asia would be where your answer there is, and it spills over into North Africa. And then here's the Ottoman Empire in 1683 at its height, and then here it is in 1913. Why did it get to that way, and why do you think the Tsar of Russia up here referred to it as the sick man of Europe? The answer to this one should definitely help you with the third one. Okay, so then sliding forward, we'll see here that there were 3 basic influential groups in the Middle East prior to World War I, and really they stuck around through at least up to World War II. You had European imperialists, predominantly English, but also some French imperialists. Also, you had Arab nationalists, the people who were not Turks, but who lived in a lot of the land controlled by the Ottoman Empire. And then you have the Zionists. And these were European Jews who were tired of being persecuted in Europe and were looking for a homeland. And where they thought that homeland should be, it was in the historical, or at least the biblical homeland of what is now modern day Israel. All right, so there is a reading on each of the groups, beginning with the imperialists, and there is a video about the Suez Canal that plays a major role in this. You really need to read through that. That should help you, along with the reading, answer these 3 questions about why, and I'm sorry things bouncing around, my internet's being real funky this morning, why things happen the way they happen there about the Suez Canal. The next group are the Arab nationalists, and nationalism, as I have said numerous times, is the biggest issue of this course, really. And if you understand nationalism, you can pretty much tie nationalism into almost any series of events going on. Think about that going forward with enduring issue essays. Okay, and so there's a couple maps here. You see the Sharifs of Mecca over here on the bottom right, and then a little bit of an explanation about what the Arab nationalists want. So it explains the idea, and again I slid down too far, the idea of pan-Arabism, which was really an idea that you would have one big country of Arabs in this territory. That has not happened. The Young Turks you've already met in the Turkey document, so you should be able to answer that. And how did this growth of national empire, again, you've already answered that question a couple of times, so you should be able to answer that. And then that finally brings us to Zionism and the Zionists. This is Theodor Herzl. He is the kind of the founder of the Zionist movement. The goal of the movement, as you see up here in the top, is in the 19th and early 20th centuries, was to create a homeland for Jewish people in the region of the Middle East now that was called Palestine. It is now modern-day Israel. In biblical history, the Jews were originally expelled from there, first by the Babylonians and later the Romans. And this started their migration into a lot of Europe, and really began the anti-Semitism that was very widespread in the 19th century, and it leads to the happenings of the Holocaust that we've already learned about. So you're going to need to answer those couple of questions here. Pretty much went over a good bit of that for you. The rest of the answers are up top. Okay. So then you got to put it all together, and it's just a situation of why did the European imperialists interested in the future Middle East? What did they want to gain? Suez Canal should be a big piece. Access to the Indian Ocean, another piece. What did the Arab nationalists want in this? And then the Zionists, what did they want in the Middle East? Should be pretty straightforward questions. Okay, then we get into the actions taken after the war. So this is just some World War I review. The years World War I occurred was 1914 to 1918. Where was it fought? Predominantly in Europe, but there was also a little bit of fighting here in around Constantinople or Istanbul in the Ottoman Empire. So your central powers are simply Germany, Austria, and the Ottoman Empire. The Triple Entente is Great Britain, France, Italy, Russia. And you could throw the United States in there because we come in after that. You got your main causes, or your mania causes: militarism, alliances, nationalism, imperialism, and the assassination. Which side won? The Triple Entente. And again, you've already listed the countries that are there, so you don't need to relist them if you've put them here. The treaty that ended the war, you should remember, was the Treaty of Versailles. And that treaty was a very harsh treaty. It punished Germany. It broke up and took away the lands of the Austrian Empire, and also the non-Turkish lands of the Ottoman Empire. So the effect of the war basically on the Ottoman Empire is it collapsed, and they lost all of their non-Turkish territories. Okay, Great Britain, this is where I will come in with a new video after this section here to do the documents. So you're going to want to wait till you could do those to see this part of it. But basically, talks about Great Britain will make several promises, and they will make promises not only to the Arabs but also to the Zionists. Meanwhile, they'll make some deals between them and the French in there, and each of those deals are on there. So you have Sir Henry McMahon's letter to Hussein bin Ali. This will talk about the deal he makes with the Arabs, and I will get into this in a separate video. Okay. And then we have the Sykes-Picot Agreement, which was an agreement between the French and the British, making some other deals with what to do with what was left of the Ottoman Empire. And then finally, you have the Balfour Agreement, or I'm sorry, the Balfour Declaration, which was a letter written to the Herzl, the head of the Zionists, to Lord Rothschild, proclaiming British support for the Zionism in the Middle East. So you've got the British basically making three separate deals, and I'll deal with each of the documents separately, and you'll add them together. And then finally, there's a little wrap up on the mandate system that comes in the Middle East that explains what actually happens beside the problems. You'll need to fill these in based on what you think the reaction of these people, who's going to be happy, who's not happy with what goes on. And then finally, just three multiple choice. Make sure you highlight the answers. So I will post the other three videos as I get them done with the documents, and we'll go from there.